What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of Facts Not Included's Tangent Friday. I'm your host, Peter Cabranes, and today, we're going to be talking about a couple of things in the world of movies, in the world of entertainment, and just very curious as to what your thoughts are on some of these things and whether or not they mean anything to you. I'm going to talk a couple of things. Number one is the Collider situation over there at Collider Video. What does that mean? What is the information? Maybe you're not aware of what's going down at Collider Video. So we have some information. Again, we'll talk specifics once we start talking about that. Also, I want to talk about some interesting information that came out this week about the Rise of Skywalker in regards to Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams' approach to the movie, and how Terrio defends his choices that he made and felt that based on certain things that's why they had to do what they had to do. And we'll read a tweet or two regarding that. And then, of course, coming this Monday, finally, when I thought it was the right time, I thought given that it's award season, let's start talking about this movie more and more. On Monday, we're going to have a Knives Out review. Second time seeing this movie. Listen, guys, it's tremendous. We'll talk about that on Monday. And then, of course, keep your eyes peeled and ready for January 17th, which is this coming Friday. Our very own Antonio Connolly sat down with a good friend of his who's a jeweler, and he makes some really interesting pieces of jewelry. And they talk movies and life and just a lot of really cool stuff. So I hope you guys are ready to hear about that. Again, it's a little different than what we usually do, but I love it. That's what we want to do here. Just have a lot of people who are just creative minds, He's an artist, so he belongs in the show. So without further ado, we're going to get into the show right now. This is Tangent Friday from Facts Not Included. What's up, everybody? Thank you again for joining us here at Facts Not Included's Tangent Friday. As discussed in the intro, we're going to be talking about a couple of things, including the Collider situation that has occurred over the past week or so. Really interesting news there. I'm just going to preface the following information by stating this. I am not close personally with any of these people. These are just people that I watch on a daily basis online, and I've seen things change over the last couple of years. I've been a fan of theirs for a very long time, since the AMC Movie Talk days, when John Campea created that format, and which caused Collider to be so successful over the last few years. But the last 2 years, John left, and things went a little abrupt, I suppose, a little down the tubes, as you would say, at Collider Video. But we're going to talk a little bit about some things there. I just want to, again, I'm not putting any blame to anyone. I don't know the specifics. All I know is what I've seen and heard from people online, like John Campea, Mark Fernandez, and everyone else. Again, this is just pure news information. If I do have something wrong, I would like for someone to point it out to me and let me know that I got it wrong. But I just want to let everybody know, there is no Facts Not Included if there wasn't Movie Talk, AMC Movie Talk. There is no Facts Not Included if there was no Collider Movie Talk. So I want to thank John Campea so much for allowing his format to flourish through so many other podcasts that are out there, including my own. This is something that other two main individuals helped create Facts Not Included. And that's Kevin Smith and John Campea, and so their ideas have helped me realize that we could do this on our own. But totally different format and all that we do here. But whatever, the inspiration was from John. So I'll say this: it took me by surprise on. I think it was January. Was it January 1st? January 2nd, when Collider tweeted out that they have canceled our beloved shows like Jedi Council, Movie Talk, Rule of Two, and so many other shows to focus on what they stated was celebrity-centric stuff, the deep fake stuff and all this stuff, and to say that Twitter exploded is an understatement. Collider was trending. People were talking about this what we saw as to be a random act by Mark Fernandez and company. We've later gone to find out that this is something that they were talking about for a while. They've been discussing this, at least through certain people behind the scenes. Some people knew. Is this possible that this is why Christian Harloff jumped ship early and focused entirely on SAN? Maybe I don't know, and I'm not here to speculate that. I'm just curious. And so that caught all of us by surprise, us fans by surprise. Listen, but let's be honest. Yes, the views and the viewership, the analytics of Movie Talk, of Jedi Council, and all these other shows that we beloved, yeah, they tanked a bit. So you could see Mark's reasoning. Listen, these shows are struggling. We don't want to focus on that anymore to begin with. And the fact that they are struggling, hey, let's take a look at maybe getting rid of them to put resources somewhere else. That's an interesting business plan, given that that is what created Collider. But this is this new business plan that they want to focus on. I think what people got upset about, though, was what seemed to be a complete unaware. People were unaware of the situation. People were unaware that their jobs are going to be lost, and it seems that they use them. Again, it seems to us as the fans that the full-time and part-time workers were treated as just pawns in a game, tossing them to the side. And the sentiment was, post-firing from Collider, is so many of those hosts like John Roca and Mark Riley and Ken Knopsack and all these people, they were getting beloved donations from their fans on their Patreon accounts to support their new ventures on their own private YouTube channels. And kudos to those people, man. I mean, I love all of them, and I wish them success. And it just sucks that they're not going to have that main one platform to in regards to like something big like Collider anymore. But listen, they can make their own. They have such a huge fan base, a huge following, and I think it's all going to work out in the end. And of course, you got Christian that can always invite them on SEN. They're always on the Schmodown to begin with, so like, there's positives in all this, but the negatives are, on a PR standpoint, this was the nightmare. And then Mark did the damage control town hall, which, to John Campia's point, was a complete unmitigated disaster. And then there was the Jack Hind controversy that occurred just before the town hall, where this guy, Jack Hind, if you know anything about him, he's just a guy who, I know him from, like, he did a random, like, he used to do, like, a random Flash talk show, like, the show Flash on DC, on CW. He used to do, like, a review show. That's how I know him. But anyway, he said some stuff that should not have been said, and I'm not going to repeat it on here. I don't want it to be a big thing. But he said some things that weren't supposed to be said. And so the question is, where do they go from here? So John Campia invited Mark on the show, and Mark defended himself and spoke his mind. And listen, you have to give him some respect. You got to give him some kudos for taking that risk of being like, hey, I personally think that we should move on to this other stuff. This stuff is struggling, and this is the new era of Collider, and let's hope it works out for him. And he admitted to some wrongdoings. He admits to this, and so you cannot be completely angry at Mark Fernandez. As a fan, sure you can, but as a human being and as a business person, you have to understand where Mark came from and where Mark's coming from. It's not like he made this decision overnight. At least let's hope not. But I do appreciate him going onto the John Campia show and figuring out what was the right course of action. In hindsight, though, again, it all happened already. But in hindsight, he is aware of the mistakes that were made. So Listen, I just hope that Collider continues to be a place where we as fans could go to as a community. I mean, again, that is what John kept stressing. Community, community, community. That is why we do what we do. That is why Facts Not Included does what it does. We want there to be a community of fans and people talking about what we talk about, and you guys support us and we support you. That is how a community is built, and we're working on that. We're still working on that. We're nowhere near where we want to be. But the reason I want to do that here, the reason Antonio wants to do that here, and everyone else involved in Facts Not Included wants to do that here, is because of Collider. They showed us that this is possible. And so if they can continue doing that, they can continue bringing that legacy that they've created. So be it that it's with different people. But if they continue to bring that legacy of community to the future, then that's what it's all about at Collider. So I wish them luck. And listen, they're always going to be more successful than us, right? But I wish them luck. I truly wish them luck. So that's the Collider situation. I think what's really interesting, though, is the people that were let go didn't talk bad about the company, and that's because they're true testament. They're a true testament of professionalism. That's what they are. So that's the Collider situation. We could talk about that later if you guys want to talk more about that. But I want to move on to the JJ and Chris Terrio stuff. This stuff is kind of interesting. So, I'm not going to read the entire interview that Terrio did with GQ, but there were some things said in there that you can kind of find quickly on Twitter and stuff like that. But I think overall, what's fascinating is he more or less believes that Rian Johnson kind of put him into a corner and made him, well, we had no choice but to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, no, the opposite occurred. See, JJ put Ryan in a corner by doing what he did to Luke in episode 7. Luke clearly is like, alone on a freaking island and is away from everybody. No one's seen him for a long time. And what do you think Rian Johnson's going to do in the next movie? Oh, hey, little kid, how's it going? Yes, I'll help you in all your conquests. It's not like I just left my whole family and everyone behind and I'm going to quickly do a 180 and help you. No, Rian Johnson had no choice but to make Luke a hermit in episode 8. It only made sense. What Rian Johnson didn't do was hinder the future. If anything, he made the future quite interesting for Star Wars. Again, I've said this on my Rise of Skywalker talk. He laid the foundation for a very compelling episode 9 that I am sure 100% that what's his face? The guy that was supposed to direct episode 9 originally. Oh, why am I forgetting his name? Give me a second. Colin Trevorrow wrote a script that probably laid closer to Ryan's vision than anything. Ryan's vision led into episode 9 doing this. You have a woman, a young girl, really. I mean, she's like 19 at this point. A young kid who is conflicted. She has the light side within her. She's clearly a nice and good person. She is genuinely a good person, but she's conflicted because she does have the darkness within that Ben Solo had, that Kylo Ren had, that Luke even tells her that. So she's clearly also conflicted. Now you have that, and you also have a guy who's bestowing the legacy of the Jedi on her, telling her that, listen, I there's something about you that I trust enough that you are going to bring balance. You are going to bring the light side back. The world is going to be beautiful again, and I trust you enough to do that because I could tell within. I've read you really well, and I could tell. So that's Rey's journey. That's going to be Rey's arc in 9, dealing with conflicting feelings within her, and then also flip side. Do I join this guy? Yes or no? Do I join Kylo Ren? Now that he's the supreme leader, he killed his master. Now that he's the ultimate bad guy, what am I to do? What is he to do? Because he's also toying with the light side. He's also dealing with the confliction within. He spoke to his grandfather, Grandpa, I feel the pull to the light. All this stuff. You want to know what would have been an awesome movie? That at the end of episode 9, the opposite occurs between the both of them. Ben goes to the light, Rey goes to the dark, and that is how episode 9 ends. I do not care what you say, that sounds fantastic. But of course, these guys over here, Chris Terrio and JJ, felt that no, we somehow needed to bring a bigger bad guy and bring in Palpatine. Now, again, I am not upset that they brought him back. I just think execution-wise was done poorly. Again, if you had this all set up in 7, 8, and 9, of course I would believe the fact that Palpatine's back. But now that in 9, out of nowhere, it's like, guess who's back? Fucking Palpatine. It doesn't work. Execution-wise, it doesn't work. The idea is there that everything is set up for him to come back. Let's not get that wrong. Things are set up in this new trilogy that you could kind of retcon in a sense, or just elaborate more on and fix those things. And yeah, it makes sense that he's there. And also, if you read the canon, yeah, fine. But the execution as to why he's there and all this stuff doesn't really quite work. So I'm just, So I found these really funny tweets. That I think were great. So at Bitter Bones talks about this on Twitter. Want to know what really fucking grinds my gears? This is their tweet. In The Last Jedi, when Ben Solo said both the Jedi and the Sith needed to end, he was right. And The Rise of Skywalker never once touched on that. Chris Terrio, shut the fuck up about leaving The Last Jedi leaving you with nothing to work with. I mean, he's not wrong, right? Like, there's so much there you could have worked with there. Like, there's so much. Also, Bitter Bones goes on to say, TLJ, it answers the Force Awakens questions while posing new, deeply impactful ones in subtle and clever ways. Chris and JJ, is this bad writing? Genius freaking tweet, man. Shout out to Bitter Bones. That's BITT 3 R Bones. So Bitter Bones. You're freaking amazing, Bitter Bones. But it's a good point, though. It is an excellent point that is being made there. Another tweet from someone's granddaughter at Marion Maid. I think this one is pretty accurate as well. They write TLJ and then they talk about what it was. So Legend of Luke inspires hope and rebellion across the galaxy. Finn defeats Phasma in front of troopers, adding to the legend of FN2187. Supreme Leader and Last Jedi are secretly in communique. And then leaves with a shot of Hux staring menacingly at Kylo Ren. Chris Terrio. Rian Johnson really wrote us into a corner. I mean, it's so true. Like, there's so much left in The Last Jedi to be explored in episode 9 that they just throw out the door. It's like they didn't see the same movie. It's like they chose not to watch it. I feel like Chris Terrio never watched The Last Jedi. I'm going to be honest. I don't believe he's ever seen the movie. I have a firm grasp on this idea that all he's done is read Reddit stuff and YouTube videos about people's problems with the movie. And people's whatever about the movie, and then there we go. That's what they did. I don't understand. But let's take this tweet that this person wrote, right? That I just read. So the legend of Luke inspires hope and rebellion across the galaxy. So Luke has passed on, and he's become a Force ghost. He's left us right after. No one came, right? So no one came to Crate, but that was pre Luke coming. So now that he's gone, the story of him is going to inspire so many people. So Finn defeats Phasma in front of troopers. The legend of FN 2187 lives on. They slightly touch upon that in the Rise of Skywalker. I'll give them credit for that one. All they had to do was have Janna go, "You were the one that inspired us to leave." That would have been awesome. So the Supreme Leader and the Last Jedi, the two most powerful people right now in the universe, are in communique. They talk with each other. They talk with each other in such a way that it's like Skype force Skyping or whatever that these people were jokingly calling it. That's their they know each other. They're kind of like besties in a weird way. That's fascinating. What do we do with that in episode 9? And then Hux, of course, Hux and his relationship with Kylo Ren. What does that leave us to believe going into the next movie? Does that mean Hux is going to try to overthrow Kylo Ren? Is he going to try to murder him? Is he going to shut up and just work with him, or is he going to quit? They all they do is make him into this BS spy in the next movie. But it's fascinating. It's quite interesting. So, but that is just my discussion on that. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this little rant that this Tangent Friday was today. I hope you also check out the Knives Out review, discussion, whatever you want to call it, this Monday on January 13th, as well as looking forward to January 17th, where Antonio sits down with his good friend, a good old-fashioned, he's not old-fashioned, a fascinating artist that makes jewelry. So I hope you guys enjoy that and check that out, and I will see you guys real soon.